USC and Notre Dame will not be playing next year in 2026. However, the two are working on trying to reinstate the rivalry as early as 2030. Big news coming out of South California and Notre Dame today, yesterday, because you're probably watching this a day later, with USC and Notre Dame not playing the rivalry yearly moving forward. Going to try to reinstate it again, but a lot of drama is going to come from this decision here. If you've been following this decision, it's been a lot of back and forth. It's been a lot of, well, USC doesn't want to play this, but they actually do want to play it. They just want to play it on these terms. And Notre Dame doesn't want to play it, Notre Dame does want to play it, but they don't want to play it on these terms. They just want to kind of keep it the way it is, yada yada. And there's a lot to kind of unpack here with everything that's going on, and a lot of narratives that I think are being spun unfairly against USC, and some narratives that I think need to be talked about more with Notre Dame. And listen, nobody is completely faultless here. This is a bad situation between two rivals that should be playing one another, but these two are not going to be playing each other for the next few years. It's sad. It stinks for college football. It stinks that this is a situation that we're in. But unfortunately, with things changing in college football, it does impact tradition. It does impact things like this. And the only thing we can hope for at this point is that the two sides can come back to an agreement and start playing each other again in 2030 under the correct conditions that make it good for both parties in this one. So welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. I'm your host, JR, as we are talking through the USC and Notre Dame rivalry of not playing each other anymore. If you want USC and Notre Dame to continue to play each other, I'm not saying like strategy-wise or anything like that. Just if you want to see that game, if you want to see two of the biggest rivals in the sport face off yearly, like the video, would really appreciate it if you do that. Subscribe here to the channel and comment your thoughts down below. We're going to kind of get to a back and forth with smart decision, but not the decision we want here a little bit later on. So please do let me know your thoughts. Would love to hear what everybody has to say, and try to balance it with me here, because I see both sides of it. It's just hard to know which one is the right decision. And, there may not be a right decision in this situation, because this is just what college football has become. All right. So, as you can see here, Notre Dame, UCLA have failed to reach an agreement to extend their historic series. Ross Dellinger reported administrators plan to work toward restarting the series as soon as 2030. All right. So, let's go through a little bit of the situation here. I have this tweet. Oh, sorry, that's the same tweet. I need to bring up the next one, apparently. That's what it was. Notre Dame, as soon as this happened, they quickly scheduled a home and home with BYU in 2026 and 2027. They'll be in Provo for 2026 and then playing in South Bend in 2027 as a replacement. They are aggressively moving with the scheduling, because Notre Dame, their biggest thing that is keeping them as an independent right now is their scheduling. They have got to have a good scheduling, number one, to be able to keep them, playing a Power 4 type of schedule to continue to be considered in that range. Obviously, the play on the field should keep them in that range, but they need to also be kept in that range with the teams that they're playing, so they get respect with that kind of stuff. But it is hard, because Notre Dame needs to play the meat of their schedule against some of these Power 4 teams when these Power 4 teams are playing their conference games. And the ACC deal obviously helps with that. If that goes away, it would be really, really difficult for Notre Dame to make this kind of stuff work. However, they would be able to, I think, figure it out eventually. But the ACC deal helps because it gives them games, but it doesn't always give them games that are super attractive to NBC. And as we know, NBC really wants Notre Dame to be not just be playing good games, but also be playing good games at home. And that's another hard part of this, is that when they play these games and they're home and home, sometimes you're taking a home game away from a team in the middle of their time of when they're playing. It's one of the reasons why it makes things so difficult. But on USC's side, it's not necessarily that they don't want to play this game anymore. And I think a lot of people just look at this and say, oh, USC's soft, they don't want to play this game anymore. But college football is shifting right now. The landscape, conference realignment. I am not defending this decision by USC, because I want them to play it too. But I do think that USC is taking some undeserved heat heat right now because people are not looking at the full story of everything that's going on. So bring up this tweet here. Aaron Torres. Aaron Torres is the epitome of spew crap and don't really know what you're talking about. He's done it time and time again. He did it so many times with Zach Edey at Purdue, and honestly, I can't respect a lot of things that he has to say because I don't think he does a very good job. So he says, I know it's easy to criticize Notre Dame for everything. Believe me, I've done it plenty of times, but USC canceling the Notre Dame series because they're afraid to take a loss in November is wildly weak stuff. No, what is wildly weak is for you not to understand the proper context of what is going on here. Again, do I want USC to cancel this game? No. Do we need to also understand where USC is coming from and why this is difficult for them to play this game in November? Yes, because USC has a Big Ten conference schedule. This is the best conference in all of college football. If not the best, they are at the very least the second best in all of college football. They are playing top tier teams. They played 5 games in November last year. Other Big Ten teams only played 4, only played a few. Like USC was one of the 3 teams, Ohio State, USC, and Maryland were the 3 teams in the Big Ten that all played games in November. And so USC did not go to Notre Dame and say, well, we don't want to play you anymore. You know, we're soft. We don't want to do this. No, they said, hey, we play in a conference now where we travel all around all the time and we can play 9 conference games. If we play you, let's play you in, end of August, September, times like that, when maybe we have some other, games around it that make it a little bit easier and try to work through that stuff. When you normally play out of conference games in those time periods, August, September, and stuff like that. That is when other teams normally do that. But Notre Dame, because of their scheduling, they have other teams that they already have set to play there. You know who they have set to play there, though? It's teams like Purdue and Michigan State. You're going to tell me that USC is the coward in this situation because they don't because they want to play the game in September instead of November because it helps work out better with their schedule, but USC won't say no, or not USC. Notre Dame is saying no because they have to play that Purdue game. They have to play that Michigan State game. Listen, I'm not trying to dog on Purdue and Michigan State here, but those are not rivalry games. Those are not games, I know they have some history with Purdue and stuff like that, obviously in the same state, but it's not anywhere near the rivalry of Notre Dame and USC. This game should be prioritized. Both sides should be looking and say, how can we work this out well together? Maybe USC could do it, at the end of September, maybe play a conference game earlier on and make it work out that way. Who knows? But there has to be something that's done here. Notre Dame can't just say, well, you have to play us in November or we're never going to play the game again. That's pretty weak and I wouldn't say soft, but that's pretty weak to say you have to do this. And let's not forget, Notre Dame is also the program that's kind of in some hot water right now because they're the one that doesn't want to play a bowl game. Now, Notre Dame fans, before you get mad at me, I do understand where you're coming from, just like I understand where USC is coming from too. I'm not saying that this is, a weak, soft decision or anything. I get where you're coming from and I get why you're making the decision, just like I get why USC is making the decision too. But people in the media coming out and saying crap like this is really hurting the whole situation because people aren't getting every side of it and understanding what's going on. The other part of this that people are failing to bring up for USC, I'm just going to play this video right here, is all the travel that this entails for USC. Look, Zach and I have been very clear. We are not ones to say that travel should be used as an excuse, but if you are somebody like USC, you definitely want to try and limit your travel. If you look at this video in 2024, this is USC's first year in the Big Ten. They are traveling for all their games 15,000 miles across the country to be able to play these games against tons of different opponents. It's one of the reasons why they didn't want to play the LSU game. They got the same crap. Oh, they're soft. Oh, they don't want to play a good team. Yada, yada, yada. Now, the game was neutral site in Vegas, so that definitely helped, but there was concerns about the travel, even then because of how much they're traveling already. The traveling at the beginning of the season to Notre Dame or Notre Dame traveling to them helps as well, but overall, it's just a difficult situation for all this stuff that's going on. So all this travel, 15,000 miles or more, it remains to be difficult for USC, and everybody can say, oh, it doesn't matter, oh, how wimpy. your program try to do it and see how it goes for you. There's a lot of travel. And then the other part here, this was a tweet I made in the off season with a graphic here. It shows how much teams traveled in the Big Ten in 2025. Now, this was just to the place. It says 15,000. That was to the place and back. This is just to the place from home. This is for all these teams. If you wanted to double this, that would be to the place and back. Oregon traveled over 16,000 miles this season, going two places and back. USC again traveled nearly 15,000 miles this season, going 14,000, what is that, 612 miles this season across the country. And look at the drop off here from Washington to Rutgers. Rutgers barely over 10,000 miles. And of course, they're all the way on the other side, the East Coast there. They're traveling to, a team. Where did they travel to this season? They traveled to Minnesota, I think, is where they traveled to. There was some of those teams in the central time zone, excuse me, there that they had to travel to. I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but you know what I'm saying. Like they had that. You had, the next one in the Big Ten outside of the top five there, Michigan, who barely traveled over 8,000 miles. Minnesota and Maryland barely traveled over 8,000 miles. You have most teams in the Big Ten traveling less than half or about half of what Oregon is traveling altogether this season. Now, Oregon's not complaining about it because Oregon doesn't have a rivalry game that they're stuck into. They can easily move forward and say, yeah, we're not going to make this happen. And it's one of the reasons why Tony Petitti is not making the Big Ten teams go out and play an extra Power 4 game in addition to their Big Ten schedule. Do I like it? No, I want these teams playing out of conference, Power 4 teams, Power 2 teams. I would love for them to play SEC teams, but I also understand how difficult the travel is. So, really, this whole situation just has us weighing everything going on in college football right now. As fans, we want to see more big games. We want to see more out of conference opponents. We want to see that happen. And so we elevate these things up. And then when teams don't do it, we say, oh, they're soft, they're weak. But in reality, it's smart to do these things. And it's not so much that we're saying, oh, well, it's smart, they should do that, because that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's a balance right now because there's the smart thing to do and there's also the thing that you would want to do in playing these games. That's one of the reasons why you have teams like Ohio State being able to play some of these games is because when they go home and home with a team, it's a team like Texas or Alabama or Georgia where those games are, yes, far away, states away, but it's not across the country like it is for USC to go to Notre Dame or for Oregon to go all the way out to, even like Oklahoma State, that kind of travel. It's not the worst travel in the world, but still, that's a lot of travel for them to go out to there. And so it does make things difficult for these Big Ten teams. Is it an excuse to not play these games? No, you still need to play the games. But in my opinion, there is a history of Notre Dame. They are not playing in their bowl game. Again, smart decision, but not what I want to see. I want to see Notre Dame play in a bowl game. And Notre Dame did not want to continue to play Michigan. So if we're all of a sudden going to say, well, Notre Dame's, not the soft team, they're not the weak team, it's USC. Notre Dame has done this as well. Now, those for different reasons, and we can get into that in a different video. But what I'm trying to get at here is that, yes, this sucks, and I don't want to see this happen. However, there are reasons behind it. There are things going on behind the scenes, and the fix is not just to scream at USC and call them soft. The fix is to look at this situation and say, what can we do differently with conference structure, conference alignment, and everything else? And some of you say, well, USC, they made their bed, now they got to lie in it. Sure, but USC was going to lose a ton of money because of how incompetent the Pac-12 was if they stayed in there. And it's one of the reasons why not just UCLA, but Oregon and Washington got out of there as they could. It's one of the reasons why all the, teams went to the Big 12 as well. They didn't just leave because USC left. Obviously that was a big part of it because they were like the main money maker in their conference, but they also left because they're 3 hours behind everybody else, and not a lot of people are watching an 8 o'clock game at Washington because it starts at 11 o'clock on the East Coast where so many people watch football, or 10 o'clock in the Central Time Zone where so many people watch football. So it's a tough situation. I'm curious your thoughts on weighing it as well. Do you think the travel actually means anything? Do you think that the timing of the game actually means anything? Where's your head at? Would love to hear you guys' thoughts on all of this. I'm JR with the Big Ten Huddle. Please do like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.